Hi everybody. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Here we go. So this is my flipped learning exploration. So we currently have a very short 40-minute block for writing every other day with all of my groups. I teach 3 sections, and we're supposed to do a 10-minute mini lesson, and they often end up taking 20 minutes, 25 minutes, depending on how many questions and interruptions we have, which leaves very little time for actual practice and application. So by flipping a writing lesson, I think I can provide students more time for one-on-one feedback and guidance in class. Students will receive instruction in the form of an Edpuzzle video on how to write a strong lead. And then class time will be spent crafting strong leads and conferencing with peers and the teacher. And that way we can really get that good practice time in, and I really have time to actually meet with each of my students individually to talk about it and to answer any questions they have. So the benefits of doing it this way are that students have more time for the application of their learning. They can work with peers, they can check in with me, I can go around the room and really work with them more intentionally and individually. The feedback on Edpuzzle gives me information about what I might need to revisit or check in with individual students about. I always put at the end of my Edpuzzles 2 questions. One is, what did you learn from the lesson? And the second is, what questions do you still have about the lesson? And that usually sets me up so that I know what I need to focus on with them. I have no interruptions while teaching, so students can rewind if they need to, they can rewatch sections, they can take their time with the content, and I'm not fielding questions that are irrelevant, like, can I go to the bathroom, or can I go get a drink, or what time does class get over, or anything like that. And then students can come to class prepared with questions and a foundational understanding of what we're doing so that they can really work on the actual, like I said, the application. So as part of this flipped lesson, I created an Edpuzzle video that I'll show you in just a second that uses a slideshow that I would have used in class and actually did earlier in the year, but I'm kind of planning for next year as well. I embedded a few questions, not only to check for understanding along the way, but also to get students thinking about the information as they watch the video instead of just passively listening to it. And what I appreciate about Edpuzzle is that it doesn't allow students to fast forward through the video. They can rewatch any section of it as long as it's before the current question that they're on. So I'll go ahead and just show you what the Edpuzzle video looks like. We won't play it because it's 4.5 minutes long. I try to keep them as short as I can, but you can see where I've embedded questions. And then this last one, like I said, has those 2 questions that we check in with understanding and ask about questions that they have. So all of the reading is all very interesting because I had already a basic understanding of flipped learning. I work in a district where they really are pushing teachers to do more flipped lessons and do more blended learning, and so it's not brand new to me. I also knew that there's an assumed connection to engagement and motivation among all level of students when it comes to flipped learning. I didn't know that there really isn't a ton of research around middle school level and flipped learning and how that might impact their engagement. So I kind of wanted to know, and I'm starting to kind of wonder about the effects of flipped learning and how those effects differ between age groups. So middle school versus high school, or high school versus post-secondary, for instance. But I did learn that, like I said, there's a lack of research around these specific effects in middle school. I also learned that there's a disparity between our expectations of our digital natives and their understanding of technology and their actual understanding of technology. And I kind of suspected this just based on my own experiences with my students, but to see it in writing in a study was kind of eye-opening. And then I also learned that flipped learning combined with differentiation has a much bigger impact on motivation than just one or the other, which isn't surprising, but again, kind of seeing it in writing is always a little bit more eye-opening. So I think in terms of like how flipped learning might help me in my specific environment, I think flipped learning allows for the differentiation that middle schoolers need. And one thing that I've noticed working with middle school is that there's a huge difference in developmental abilities and needs just because of the age that they're in. And then the article that I found kind of corroborated that. And when you look at flipped learning, it really kind of checks all the boxes of effective differentiation. And so, reading the Tomlinson website and kind of reading through what constitutes good differentiation, all of that can be applied and connects to flipped learning. And I really think that flipped learning does help with engagement. I say may because I think every kid is different, but the study that I read pointed out that there doesn't seem to be a huge difference in conceptual understanding between flipped learning and a more traditional approach, but there does seem to be an increased engagement level, which, is ultimately what we need. And then, like I mentioned before, I'm hoping that flipped learning might also help with that technology comfort level, even among our digital natives who theoretically should be very comfortable, but maybe aren't. So here are my references, and thank you for watching.